going on, good people? We back once again. A little quick video for y'all today. Let's get into the topic. I'm your host, DJ. We back once again. I appreciate y'all for tuning in as usual. But I've been hearing a lot of talk about Mark Andrews. Okay, and whether or not Mark Andrews will be on the team, will he be traded? Is he worth trading? And I don't want to say is he worth trading because that's not the right question, but more so, should the Ravens trade him? Should he be traded? Because I think it's obvious that Mark Andrews is worth trading. I think for a while, Mark Andrews has shown far and away that he's one of the best receivers on the Ravens team right now. You take out Zay Flowers, and you might have a case to say he is the best receiver on this team. Of course, pending what DeAndre Hopkins does this year as well. And depending on what state you think DeAndre Hopkins is in. But of course, the Ravens did pick up Mark Andrews's $4 million roster bonus, which possibly means that he'll more than likely be a Raven for the foreseeable future. But I'm gonna be honest with y'all, and I mean this is just me. This is just my opinion. Okay, this is just my opinion. Honestly, who really thought Mark was going anywhere? I mean, even with the uncertainties of what the draft could be and potential for, let's just be honest, potential for an elite pass rusher to grab. If you trade a guy of the caliber of Mark Andrews, you could get that elite pass rusher you've been missing for a long time. But I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I never thought, very similarly to the Lamar Jackson situation, I never thought Mark Andrews was really going anywhere. I didn't think he was going to be traded. I didn't think he was going anywhere. Back when Lamar was a free agent and he had the chance to test the market. To be honest with y'all, my thought was the Ravens are playing chess while everybody else is playing checkers. That was my opinion. I thought, hey, the Ravens going, kind of like Progressive. They're gonna have you name your price. Right, they're gonna let the market decide what Lamar Jackson's worth is, and then they're gonna match it, and he's gonna come back home to Baltimore. Now we don't know if that would truly have been the case because nobody bid on Lamar Jackson, weirdly enough. And that's another reason why I feel like the Ravens were in control during that whole situation. Now, look, here's the thing: the Mark Andrews situation has turned into an unfortunate "what have you done for me lately" situation. And specifically, a "what have you done for me in January" situation, if we're just going to be real, right? Because obviously, Mark Andrews is one of the greatest Ravens receivers of all time. There's no debating that. That's a fact. He's top 5 Ravens receivers all time, probably top 3 Ravens receivers all time. If not, maybe a video I'll do next week. I'll keep y'all tuned into that one. Maybe a video I'll do next week on why he might just be the best receiver that the Ravens have had of all time. But I'm not even going to talk about that right now. I'm going to let y'all stew on that in the comments, stew on that, in the DMs and whatnot, and y'all let me know what y'all think. But I feel like, unfortunately, the Ravens fan base has turned into a "what have you done for me lately? What have you done for me in January? What did you do for me in your last game?" type of situation. Now, it's worked in the past, right? We talked about Lee Evans, right? We talked about Lee Evans drops the potential game-winning touchdown. Here, you got the potential game-winning 2-point conversion. It's right in your hands. You got it. You made this catch 1,000,000 times out of 1,000,000, but it just happens to be that one time where it doesn't happen. And I think, unfortunately, kind of like I said before, I think Ravens flock has become a "what have you done for me lately?" Specifically last game, what have you done for me if you're Mark Andrews? And I think, honestly, that it's a little bit unfair for Mark Andrews. Don't get me wrong. Could Mark Andrews do better in the playoffs? Absolutely. But I'm just going to be honest with y'all. And I know, I'm a sucker for a good sob story, okay? I'm a sucker for a good fairy tale ending, okay? A good fairy tale ending. And I would love to see Lamar Jackson put his playoff woes behind him. Mark Andrews put their playoff woes behind them, and them both hoist the Lombardi together because they have been locked in since day one, right? I mean, two guys who probably, right, with the exception of a couple of people who just knew what they knew, two guys who probably took the league by storm, and let's be honest, nobody expected it, right? Except for, like we said, a select few. I think there was some people that felt like during Lamar's rookie year he might, turn into something pretty special. I think there was but I mean, I think Mark Andrews was the most unpredictable story of that whole thing. But it's very, very interesting, man, because it's interesting because for Mark Andrews to go, you'd have to have a little bit more reliability in the tight end room. And a lot of people are saying likely, and I get it, right? I completely understand. I'm literally right here with y'all on that. I could see likely being a guy that potentially breaks out, right? And it's interesting because at Drew Band on X mentioned this, and I think this is why people feel. Like maybe Mark Andrews could possibly go. Let me see if I can find it real quick and pull it up for y'all, so y'all can be right here with me. Y'all can be right here with me. All right, so let's pull it up real quick so y'all can see it. So Drew on X said Lamar Jackson is 8-0 in games he starts without Mark Andrews. Growing up is realizing that Mark Andrews needs Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson does not need Mark Andrews. Now let me mention Flocky's original comment that was being said. So let's just look. So Flocky originally said, all the Mark Andrews is washed talk is over exaggerated. He played really well during the regular season. It's just standing out in your mind. He had a bad playoff game. And Lamar played worse in that game than he did. So what are we doing here? And it's very interesting, right? Like, I'm going to be honest with you. They're both right. I think people saying that Mark Andrews should go. Mark Andrews is terrible. Mark Andrews is not even that good. Mark Andrews is not who Mark Andrews has proven time and time again to be. People who say that, I think they are living in this world of, hey, the last game wasn't too good. I mean, it's possible we go to back-to-back AFC Championship games if the last game don't play out like it did, like it ended up playing out. But going back to Flocky's point, I wouldn't say Lamar played worse, right? So okay. He said Mark Andrews played well in the regular season, which is true. Even with injuries, the car accident, all that, he still played well. I'm pretty sure he led the Ravens receivers in touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken, and let me know if I am. It's just in your mind that he had a bad playoff game. I think both of those could be true. He said Lamar played worse than Andrews did. I don't think that's true. I think Mark Andrews' problems were throughout the whole game, whereas Lamar's problems were the first half, and that was it. The second half, Lamar was locked in. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows Lamar was locked in the second half. Mark Andrews still had the same issues. He had the fumble, the possession before he had the drop, right? So he had the fumble, and then and that was the possession before the potential game tying 2-point conversion. So I feel like both of those can be true at the same time, right? I feel like both of those things can be true at the same time. I think that's a fact. I think both of those can be true at the same time. And I believe that both of those are true. But realistically, do I think it's a little over exaggerated? I do, but I'm a Mark Andrews guy. I want to see, I personally, I said this before, I personally want to see Mark Andrews and Lamar Jackson hoist the Lombardi together. You know, and Graven had mentioned it as well. You know, I want to see all the guys come back. You know, I love what Mark Andrews brings to this team. I love the versatility that Likely brings to this team. You know, of course, with the addition of DeAndre Hopkins, we'd love to see a healthy Zay Flowers out there in the playoffs as well. You know, for his second game. So I mean, honestly, I think that's another. I think that's another aspect of it. Somebody else had mentioned something that I'm gonna get up out of here, but somebody else had mentioned something as well, right? And they kind of talked about whether they thought a change of scenery might be good for Mark Andrews. And I think for me, I think for me, I think for me, I don't I don't entirely agree. So at the Sun Brave on X said, time has passed a little. This is back on March 16th. Time has passed a little, and while I forgive Mark Andrews, I cannot forget the overall history when it matters the most. A change of scenery would do well for all parties involved. And of course, you can see the caption on the video below that says, Mark it's the playoffs. We need you to make a play. And Mark Andrews with a compilation of Mark Andrews drops, Mark Andrews fumbles, Mark Andrews just, in fact, not making a good play. So this is true, right? Kind of like we said before. I mean, two things can be true at the same time. This is, you know, in terms of, I can't forget the overall. I mean, all of this is true. Let's just be honest. Time has passed. You can forget Mark Andrews now. A change of scenery would do well for all parties involved, depending on what you got out of them. Because if the Ravens only got picks and didn't get a player, didn't get probably an elite player, to be honest with you, I don't think the trade would be worth it anyway. But that's just me. But yes, Mark Andrews has had some problems when it has mattered most. Yes, right? Mark Andrews has had some problems when it matters most. But I think, I honestly, given how big Mark Andrews has been in big moments throughout his entire career, with the exception of the playoffs, you know, I said this before, it's not a Lamar Jackson playoff problem. It's not a John Harbaugh playoff problem per se. It's not a Mark Andrews playoff problem. The Baltimore Ravens have a playoff problem right now. They just do. You know, they find themselves in situations and they cannot find a way out of it. But personally, I don't think Mark Andrews is going anywhere. I don't care if there's a trade. I don't care. I don't see now, you know, a couple years ago, the Ravens got rid of their top receiver in Hollywood Brown. So anything can happen, right? And the Ravens tend to make that move when that move seems to be at the right time. So is this the right time? I don't know. Because honestly, if Mark Andrews plays in a Ravens uniform, he's by far and away going to be the top Ravens receiver when it comes to yards. He's a top Ravens receiver when it comes to touchdowns. And that can't be forgotten in a Ravens offense that isn't the most pass heavy to begin with, or at least in the past, you know, up until probably last year, hasn't been the most pass heavy. But definitely hope you guys enjoyed the show. We'll see you guys on the next episode of the Be More Show. As always, I gotta let y'all know that the Be More Show is on all major podcasting platforms. So take the show with you. What y'all think? What y'all think? Does Mark Andrews gotta go? Or does he deserve just one more chance to get it right with the rest of the guys this upcoming season as the Ravens go Super Bowl hunting? Let me know below. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already as well. This has been the Be More Show.